show is P.D.A, Public Display of Affection. Joining me on today's show will be Miss Mode and Miss Brown. What is public display of affection? A public display of affection, otherwise known as P.D.A, is any gesture which culture suggests is sexual or romantic in nature, taking place in a public place. That could be hand holding, touching, kissing, hugging in a public arena or place. Now, what does that mean to you as an individual who may be in a relation or may feel the need to express yourself by making those gestures publicly?
Well, good afternoon. I hadn't experienced it before until the relationship that I'm in now. My partner that I've been with for the last 9 years, on our first date, went to kiss me in the street, and I was like, what is that about? He was like, oh, it's P.D.A. Ain't you ever heard of P.D.A? And I was like, no. From speaking to other people, I found that men are more prone to be on this P.D.A displaying of affection in public, whereas I was a bit taken back because I never experienced it before.
Okay, based on your experience and the fact that your partner felt the need to display that, did you ever ask the question, why do you feel the need to do that?
Yeah, because I did ask that question, and his response was just sometimes I just might want to rub your back or hold your hand, or some people slap people's bottoms, you know, like it just depends on the person. But that's just their way of just showing their affection at that time. They might just, he said that maybe he might just have looked at me and thought, oh yeah, I just want to kiss her. Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, that was done publicly.
That was done publicly.
Was that also done within the home?
Yes, also in the home.
Okay, so technically speaking, that person never stopped being affectionate or showing those, displaying that affection.
No, so
within the household or publicly.
Yeah, so the display of affection hasn't changed whether we're at home or out in public. But because I've never experienced it before,
okay,
I was taken aback. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, you see people walking down the street and kissing and stuff, and I'll be like, you need to keep that in your house.
Okay. How what is your experience with that? Or I mean, and it could be personal to you, right, or it could be something you've seen.
Yeah. I've experienced P.D.A before, and the kissing thing. Yeah, I'm not with that in public. I'm going to be devil's advocate right now. No, that's fine. I just feel a bit embarrassed, like doing that in public where people are walking up and down and seeing, you know, my partner kissing me. I get that he's you know, affectionate and all that, but for me, I just, it's just like a little, I just start to get scared and like my back
to get a bit tense
and all that, and I'm like, I don't want that.
Is that because you don't like that kind of attention, or you don't like eyes on you?
I think it's that attention like that, because for me, I would say I don't mind holding hands or we're arm in arm walking down the street. That's fine, but for the guy to just stop and be like, you know what, I really love you or whatever, and then start kissing you on the street, I'm like, no.
So when you're saying kissing, like, is that a kiss on the cheek, or is that an intense kiss?
Intense kiss, okay. Right? Because kiss on the cheek is kind of minor, I feel, for me. Because if it's a kiss on the cheek, it's just a peck, and then that's like 0.2 seconds.
Okay.
But where I've seen people where they actually going in full on kissing, and it's for a while, and I'm like, get a room. But for me personally, I don't like it, but I don't mind holding hands and being arm in arm. I'm okay with that.
Okay. Well, for myself, for myself, it's not something, like you said, Miss Brown, that I was familiar with, and I tended to withdraw if that kind of affection was displayed outside in public. For me, I just don't I didn't feel the need to actually do that publicly.
Right.
For the simple reason, I'm in a relationship with you. We're together. I don't feel the need to display anything to anyone to quantify my relationship with someone. So that being done publicly, to me, is unnecessary.
Because I was going to think unnecessary how?
I'm just about to go to that. Because probably I'm not a public type of individual. So for me, my relation isn't for everyone's eyes. My relationship is personal to me. I don't feel the need to be walking down the road with my partner holding hands. If my partner, we were crossing the road and he was to hold my hand to say, he's keeping me safe, that's a different issue. But for me to walk down the road hand in hand, I don't think it's necessary. To me, that's me personally.
Okay.
If I'm on a holiday, I'm talking about everyday life. Don't get me wrong, I see people holding hands walking down the road and then they can't be separated when the road's too small. So that's, for me, that's stupidity. Do you understand? like your bond can't be broken because you're so in love and you can see there's not enough space for you both to walk hand in hand. But you're not prepared to break that bond to allow someone to walk past. See, that's stupidity to me. Okay, I get that you love each other, but common sense has to kick in at some point where you can break that bond.
Right.
He's not going nowhere, she's not going anywhere. So I think it's a bit. For me, I know this is really going to be like, are you really?
Yeah.
I just don't feel it's nice when you see it, to see a couple holding hands. But I think there's a time and a place. I mean, if you're on holiday...
Right, so you said time and place, right?
Yeah, she said this time and place.
If you're on holiday, it's fine to hold your hands on holiday, but you feel when you're back home in Blighty, as in wherever you are in the UK or wherever, you don't want to do it there. It's
not that I don't want to do it, I just don't think it's necessary.
But you're saying it's more necessary to do it on holiday.
I mean,
or you're not.
You're in a different space when you're on holiday, so you tend to do think you're more relaxed. You're actually having one-on-one interaction with each other. You've got that time to conversate. You're cuddling and you're doing those kind of things. So for me, I can quantify that. But
yeah, go ahead. Sorry to cut you, Miss Law. But what's the difference then? Because you're still with that same person. What's the difference? The only difference is that you're in a different country. It shouldn't make a difference.
No, it shouldn't.
That you're abroad to being here.
But that's personal to me.
I know.
I hear. Yeah, but because you're so adamant about here, but then in another country you're not. So is it because you're in a foreign country, you don't really know anyone there, so you feel protected by holding your partner's hand?
I think it's because I'm so private. when it comes to relationships. Maybe me doing it on a day-to-day basis in London, for me is just like, no, I don't need to do that because I am that private. I don't feel the need for anyone to know that I am in a relationship with anyone. I'm not saying that I'm hiding, but it's just, I think people within your living environment don't actually respect you as well as much. So they're more in your business, so to speak, than having caring thoughts about the fact that you're in a relationship.
Okay.
Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah. So they're more than likely going to be like, oh, look at them two over there, whatever. It's not going to be, oh, don't you see how much they love each other?
Yes.
Kind of affection.
Yes.
But for me, I think now I'm not shy to the fact that if my partner kisses me on the street, I'm now no longer shy to it because of how I feel about that person.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not as dead against it as I used to be, because obviously being in a good relationship, you drop your barriers, don't you?
Yeah.
And I think it's a lot to do with people. I mean, people do make you feel a certain way when you're in a relationship. They have a lot to say about what you're in or what you're not in. And I think that when you don't feed into that or don't give them something to talk about, then there's really you don't have that pressure on you.
So Miss Laura, I hear that, but then on the other foot, your relationship with your partner is nobody's business. So that's the stance my partner would come with. He'll be like, it's not their business. If I want to kiss you on the street, who cares? If I want to hold your hand, who cares? If I want to rub you in your back and caress you while we're walking down the street, who cares? Because at the end of the day, it's still private between me and him, even though there might be onlookers or whatever. The actual affection between us is between us.
Yeah, like I said, like it's not something I particularly. I don't find it necessary as far as I'm concerned. Okay. Don't get me wrong. I have displayed. But it's very much like a quick thing. It has to be a quick thing. Because I feel a certain way about it, and I will be a hypocrite to say that I'm going to stand there having those kind of gestures on for a long duration of time. So for me personally, I don't particularly like to engage in them.
Okay.
It's just my personal preference.
Is that also because you could be shy as well?
Very much so. That would say a lot about that. Like I said, it's personal to the individual who does or doesn't like it. It's about confidence as well. If you're not confident about that, and also you have to bear in mind, if you're not confident in whatever you're in, and you could be unsure about your relationship.
Yeah.
Like you could be in a relationship, walking down the road with Joe Blogs, hand in hand, kissing up. 2 weeks later, you're not with that individual. Then there's a new Joe Blogs on the block. So like,
I hear you. So, I get where you're coming from.
Just see where I'm coming from. So it's not that I don't like love and affection. It's the fact that putting myself out there like that, readily available and visual to the world, to me just seems unnecessary.
Okay.
What I do behind closed doors with my partner, or wherever I go or however I do it, is really personal to me.
So can I ask a question then? Do you think for us it's cultural? So whereas like say walking down the street, I might not see as many black people showing personal displays of affection. I might see more European, British people showing more affection. Do you think it's a cultural thing?
Well, for me personally, I cannot say that my parents weren't affectionate. I saw nothing but love at home. So, Whether they did it externally, no, actually, I don't recall actually seeing my parents display that publicly.
So do you think for us then, growing up, it's a learnt behaviour that our private stuff is kept in our house?
I would say yes. I think it's just more to do with, when we've grown up as children, our parents have always said certain things to us, like, what happens in our home is private to us. When you go out, you're supposed to be a certain way, and that's a reflection of you and how you're brought up. So sometimes those things do stick in your head to the point that you think, okay, it's not suitable, it's not right to actually display those kind of affections externally. Is that right? Is that wrong? There is no right and wrong, is there really?
Not really, no.
I mean, everybody does what they do because it suits them.
It's what you're comfortable doing.
Yeah.
If you feel comfortable doing that, then there's no problem with that. But it's a thing of where if one partner is comfortable but the other one isn't.
But tell me something. I'm going to be devil's advocate here. Do you feel that from time to time, in relationships and with regards to that P.D.A, that personal display of affection, do you feel that sometimes partners use that to their advantage based on them having trust issues? And I'm saying this, I'm just going to give you a scenario, okay? A group of guys are walking down the road. You're there with your partner walking down the road. Your partner grabs your hand.
Yeah, so I was going to say sometimes if I feel like when people do that or guys do that, it's to let whatever men that are walking or people walking know that this is my partner, this is who I'm with. So yeah, I would say sometimes it could come across as them being insecure.
100%. That is exactly what my thought is. So you do see a lot of scenarios like that. I don't have a problem with someone displaying that genuinely. But if you're going to display that because you have insecurities or you have trust issues and so on and so forth, then that becomes a problem for me. Because I'm not an object. Okay? If you have insecurities, then you need to deal with those insecurities, not make me be that person that you utilize to fit those. So that, for me, it becomes a problem.
But some people are just really sometimes affectionate.
Sometimes. And I say sometimes in capitals.
I mean, when I was asking my son this question, how he feels about it, he basically said, he's well up for it. Whereas his girlfriend was like, she doesn't mind, but I think she's coming from the same stance that we're coming from, whereas to a certain extent, depending on the level of display of affection, like Miss Mode said, like a little peck or holding hands, when they start using tongues and all that, it's just too much.
Okay, so you touched on could it be a cultural thing? In my honest opinion, I believe it is for us as black women.
Well, I think if we're going to go back to like our parents and stuff, we never really saw, for some of us, never really saw that in public. You'll see it in private. They'll have a little banter with one another and as you say, slap a bottom and whatnot. But I think because of the time and what they were facing in them times, they could not actually go out in public and do that anyway.
No, that's correct.
Right? But I feel for us, as in our late teens, into our 20s, I think even for me then, I couldn't do that public display of affection. I could not do that at all. But I know there's other people who are comfortable with it, and that is fine. Yeah.
And I suppose you're right. It does stem down to that individual, whether they're confident, they're not shy, they don't really mind.
So
I think there's a limit to it.
So obviously we have cultural differences and we display things differently from other parts of the world.
Yeah.
You touched on that before. Do you feel that we're less affectionate publicly than maybe the Europeans or the English?
Female-wise, I would say from a female's perspective, then yes, we might be less affectionate in public. However, our males, whether they're with black, white, whatever race they're with, they are very, like, from what I've seen, we're walking down the street, they're very affectionate. They like to display how they feel about the person, and it's now like the norm.
Yeah.
Okay. Stick a pin. So, you just touched on something. So, biracial relationships seem to show more affection.
Yes.
Yeah, with interracial relationships, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, based on that, why is that? Why is it okay, or why do you see that if you're in an interracial relationship, you display those things, be it as a black brother or black sister to another race, but yet amongst yourselves you don't want to do it?
I think for some it's just how we've been conditioned.
Yeah, I was just about to say learnt behaviour, growing up. Don't get me wrong, you'd hug your mum, like you might hug your mum, say bye mum or whatever, but my mum wasn't that affectionate.
Okay.
In that sense. Don't get me wrong, she did lovely things, we did loads of things together.
Yeah.
Affection wise, I didn't really see it, but I just don't know whether that is just a Caribbean way.
Yeah.
They love you. They don't really need to be telling you they love you all the time.
Yeah.
But they love you. They make sure you got food on the table. They make sure you got clothes on your back. They don't need to hug you all the time, because those are the things that they are doing for us, to show us that they love us.
Yeah.
However, now things are changed. You know, generation after generation, things are. I'm not saying changing, because they most probably were always there, but everything is more visible.
So it's more socially acceptable.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, that you're able to do these things. So the more acceptable it becomes, do you feel as individuals that you would be happy to display more affection in public?
No, not me.
Well, Miss Mode, like you said, I've got a limit. Like Miss Mode, I've got a limit. Hold my hand. Yeah, hold my hand.
Peck on the cheek.
You know,
arm in arm.
I'm fine. Like I do. When it's cold, I'm like arm in arm. I'm clutching it,
and that's because you're cold, right? And that's because you're cold, right?
Yeah, that's because I'm cold.
So you're using that to your benefit, basically.
Of course, I need. Listen, body heat is the best heat. Okay.
So this young lady has a tendency to use public display of affection when it's fitting and suits her. Okay, make everyone aware of that. When she's cold, it's okay to hug. When she's not cold,
when it's summertime,
she doesn't want to be hugged.
Let me breathe.
Yeah, summertime, it's too hot for all of that. You can hold my hand, and then you don't even want to hold
hand because it's sweating.
In their hands. Like, come on now.
But what if they've got gloves on? It's okay, right?
No, it's not okay, because gloves sweat on the outside too. I don't know. That doesn't make no difference to me.
So tell me something. Okay. So you go into another part of the world. You're someone who likes to display affection. You go to another part of the world, and you're not able to express and display that. What do you think about that?
I think I know there is countries like that.
That's correct.
Not sure exactly what their rules are. It's going to be hard for any individual to adapt to that if they're so used to publicly displaying their affections all the time.
Yeah.
it will be hard for them to try and manage that, but it's going to happen anyway, regardless, and we just have to be corrected in the country.
But you do realise it's a criminal offence. You can be arrested for those.
So I would say if you're going to go to a country like that, then you have to know the law.
Yeah.
Or you just don't go there at all, because if you feel that you are someone who's always affectionate, whether it's in private or public, then you would abide by the law, or you wouldn't necessarily go there, because then how would you be able to control?
But technically speaking, when you go on holiday, you don't check to see whether your affection is socially acceptable.
No, but there's some parts in the world where you have some form of knowledge of where you can't do that. So again, it's a thing of, do you want to spend your money and go to that country? And if you do, you would know that you can't do certain things, because they will pull you up on that, and their specific law is very strict.
Tell me, have either of you eyewitnessed something that you've felt has been too much?
Yeah. Oh
yeah. Don't even make me go there.
No, we're going to go there, Miss
go
B.
there.
We're going to go there. Yeah, we're going there. Yeah.
Okay. So, I think, did I go to Wireless or something? I think I went to Wireless, and the public displays of affection, they were turning from public displays of affection to being too personal and needed to be taken to their houses,
right, yeah.
But I suppose there was influences there, like alcohol and all that stuff. So maybe that's why they felt the need to be doing things that I can't even say it on air, like doing things that they shouldn't have been doing.
Unnecessary.
It wasn't necessarily to be done in that actual space, because it was actually a public space. And I have witnessed people doing things that I think, well, you could have just waited till you got home.
Yeah. No, I've seen similar as well at festivals, but also when I used to work in the city, obviously end of the week, Friday night, people having a drink or whatever, and under the influence, you'll just see them carrying on, and I'm thinking, well, like, next to the pub there's a hotel, you can book yourself a night in there, or go home. Like, or if you can't go home, as I said, the hotel's right there. Like, what's stopping you?
So based on the fact that you don't mind, to a degree, you don't mind displaying it.
Yeah.
For yourself, it's not something you particularly like to do, Miss Mode.
No.
With yourself, Miss Brown, you don't really have a problem so long as it's curbed.
Yeah, there has to be about, like, I mean, I suppose because of the relationship I'm in now, I don't have an issue with this person displaying affection, because that's the way they are, and I've been in it for a long time. So, but there has to be a balance to it. You're not putting your tongue in my mouth, all those things on the street. That's not working.
So tell me, do you feel that this should be curbed, or this should be managed when out in public? Because if a lot of people have a problem with people displaying affection, should that be policed?
No.
The
thing is, I seen it, I might say something underneath my breath, like, oh, and then just walk on, and then I've forgotten about it. It's not a thing where I'm gonna remember it while I'm there doing my shopping, or I've come home and I'm still gonna be talking about it, etc. No. So I don't think it should be policed at all.
No.
I mean, all right. Now, wait a minute. Sorry, Miss B. If it gets a bit X-rated, then I have a problem with that. But I don't know. I think there's levels in it.
Okay. I'm going to throw something in the mix. We're all women of colour, and we have a perception of displaying affection. Yeah? I want to hear a male perspective of
Do we have males?
Oh, have we got males? Let me just introduce Shaq D into the arena.
Oh, lovely. This will be interesting.
Oh, gosh. Is this thing on?
It is definitely on, and we are waiting to hear your perspective.
I haven't heard everything you said.
That's okay. You got the gist of it, though.
Yeah. I heard the... I don't do it.
Why?
I don't do
it. Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because there's no need. And I heard the bit where you said where if you're out with your girl and you see a group of guys coming towards you, you'd hold it. No, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I just don't do it. It's just not me.
Now, I think
the most I would do is maybe hold a hand.
Okay. So you say that you would not do and you do not do.
Yeah.
Why? I need you to explain why. Because people have to understand why you don't do it as a male.
So it's public. What's it called? P.D.A.
P.D.A. Public display of affection.
I don't need to display my affection publicly.
Thank you very much, Shaq. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
why do you need to display your love and affection to a bunch of people you don't know? You have no connection.
When I see people doing it, or kissing up, I just look. I'm like, no, why?
Right.
We always look at them and go, get a room.
Right, so I said that, but you're fine with holding hands.
Yeah, I think holding hands is fine.
Right, because that is also a public display of affection.
Yeah, I think that there's nothing, for me, there's nothing wrong with that one. That's fine.
And why is it fine?
Because it's like you couldn't look at somebody holding hands and think that's disgusting. Right. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you see two people, with a tongue down their throat, and why?
But for you personally, it's dependent on how it's reflected by others. Because you've just said holding hands isn't disgusting, but seeing two people with their tongues down each other's throats.
It doesn't, for me, I don't need to, me personally, I don't need to see that. So if I don't need to see that, then you don't need to see me doing that.
And therefore no one needs to do it.
Yeah.
I've got someone on my side now.
Okay, but hold on. But if that person, like the tongue thing, I've got a level to my my acceptance of public displays of affection. Now, I do the holding hands. I don't do that kissing thing.
Okay, but then I've got another question to ask you then. If and I've just this might flip what I've just said on the head. So if you're out on the road with your partner and you're about to leave and she's about to go somewhere and you're about to go somewhere, then I think if you kiss her, just like a kiss on the lips or cheeks to say bye, see you later, I think that's fine. But just sitting on a bench and just in it,
right? So there's
I
different
agree
levels.
With you 100%. For me, a kiss is a greeting, or a farewell. Okay, that's how I see. When you embrace someone, you meet them, you give them a kiss, or you shake their hand, or you give the prayer hands. It's a measure of greeting someone.
But remember, that's still a public display of affection.
However,
there's levels.
But let's say there are levels.
So then you can't say you don't like doing public display of affection
because there's levels.
Yeah, but overall, you can't necessarily say that unless you have to break it down and explain the levels.
Oh yeah, well, so do you like public displays of affection?
I think it's nice to a certain degree, but I can't wholly say I don't like it. Okay, so if you had you're with your partner now and you're upstairs, whatever, on the street, would you do a French kiss? No.
Right.
No.
But you'd kiss him on the lips to say bye or whatever. So we're all kind of on the same page.
We are more or less.
But it's just the
what
level.
I heard you say when I was next door, which it was when you said about interracial couples.
Yes. Well, from what I'm aware and what I'm seeing, I feel with regards to the black man, I don't. Statistically, in my head, when I look at generations and I look at friends and foe who are in relationships with black brothers as black sisters, I don't see that they actually get that kind of affection displayed to them outside. If it does happen, it's a very small minority. However, when I see individuals in relationships with different races, I see seems to be more acceptable.
100%. So and so basically it is. I think it does come down to a cultural thing. It does come down to culture, because as you say, if you see a black man with a white lady or whatever, or a white lady with you'll see that there is more public affection going on there. And I think it's not that word allowed, but it's
more socially acceptable.
What they do. Sorry to generalise. So, yeah. And even if I was that way, I still wouldn't do it.
Interesting.
That's very interesting.
Because sorry to cut you, Miss B. What I've also noticed as well, where you was talking about if you saw a group of guys and your partner's holding your hand, I've seen that a lot with interracial couples, especially on the female side. So if she's not black, but she's with someone who is of another race.
Okay.
If the likes of me or
a group of black women were walking down the road, she feels the need
to hold him.
She's spraying up the place.
Like, this is mine. Like, why are you looking at, at me and my partner? Like, this is mine, kind of thing. And
so she, based on what you're saying, she feels the need to quantify her relationship by extending her hand to her partner to make a claim on her partner to say, that's my partner.
Yeah.
So she has insecurities, basically.
That's where I was going.
That's where she feels the need to extend her arm or hold on to this person in case he decides to run off. Because obviously...
And most of the time you hear the women go, I don't want him anyway. Trust me, I've heard it all.
Yeah, because it's a reaction to your action, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very interesting, right? That people experience this, they display it, they do it, but yet it's not something you really, really talk about.
Not really, no.
So can I ask a question?
Go for it.
So you see, when you've gone to a rave and it's got the slow jams now, and people are rubbing down, isn't that public display of affection?
Of course it is.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Yeah, it is.
But it's dependent on if you're that type of person that's going to be engaging in that. I'm not one of those people. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I already know that.
I'm just not that kind of chick.
I used to.
Tell us a little bit about that, Shaq, because obviously you're, from a male's perspective, it's very much different from ours as women, and it's nice to understand what makes the male tick. Don't get me wrong, we know how our males tick, but when you hear it from a male, it kind of it gives you like, okay, that's why that's that way.
So what's the question? Let me get it right here. What is the question? So I'm back in the day. Obviously, I play slow jams, innit?
So when you used to go and rave, were you one of those people who felt the need or engaged in some of that?
100%.
Okay, why?
Because it was, that music. That was the way you danced to that music, and so. Back to my original point, then maybe I do public displays of affection.
But you've never had to look at it that way.
No.
So now it's kind of, you've realised that you are a partaker in that.
Yes.
And you do display that.
Yes.
But you don't, because we haven't dissected it, we're not actually...
There's different levels. There's
whole many,
there's different layers and different levels of it.
That's right.
Because if you ask me now, if I went out and would I do it now, then maybe I would. So, wow.
Yeah.
So... being in a relationship, would you still think that's okay for you to do?
No.
Okay,
but
and
back then it was just a case of, you used to hear the saying, a dance is a dance. So you could literally dance with somebody, and it would be proper slow jam dancing, and then at the end of the dance you either dance some more tunes, or you go, or if you're single then you try and get numbers and stuff like that. I mean, we used to go to Oasis on a Sunday night, and as soon as them lights went off, it was like I'm sorry to say, it was like hunting season. And it was a case of, when we got back in the car, there used to be 5 of us going. I was like, how much dance you get? It was that was it.
Oh, wow.
We was talking about
a whole discussion.
And then there was turning around dances. We hated them because it was like, no one would ask me to dance, but it's like, they haven't even given me the prize. And even if I had the prize, because the guys used to have prizes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was, as you guys know the music I play, so that is what I grew up on. I was 17 years old when I was going to Oasis, and Oasis was over 25.
Yeah.
And because of my height, I think I got away with it.
You got away with it, yeah.
We're going to put you on the spotlight again, because you're being the only male here today.
Mm-hmm.
You have numerous friends.
Yeah.
Male friends from different cultures.
Yeah.
Explain your views based on what you would see from those gentlemen, or should I say male?
Yeah.
Because they might not be gentlemen. How you feel about how they display their affections? Would you say that some of them are...
Do you know what? I can't think of any of my friends that display public, that outwardly display. I don't have many friends, but I can't think of anyone that outwardly does it like that.
Okay.
But one thing I always say, was going off track a bit, is that no matter, one thing I've noticed over the years, and it's like, it's not a brainwave or anything like that, but no matter who you speak to, white, black, Indian, Chinese, whatever, with their partners, we all have the same problems. In the relationships, we all have the same problems.
Yeah, because we're still human beings. We just come from different cultures.
Yeah, exactly.
That's about it.
Yeah.
We might get there in a different way, and some people might display their affection here, but when it comes down to it, man and woman, we all have the same issues.
Miss Brown.
Yes.
Tell me, give me a little bit of information on how you see that. I mean, obviously, are you someone who would display affection publicly when you're going to a rave, or would you be someone who possibly not?
Well, I'm not going to lie, I have danced with people.
I knew that. I could tell just by looking at you, Miss Brown.
I'm not going to lie, I have danced with people, but
in fact, looking at you, we may have danced before.
Nah.
What do you mean? No, thanks.
Sorry, I can't even see your face.
That's
but,
all right. You don't want to see it.
No, what I'd like to say is that, yeah, I have done, but like Shaq said, a dance is a dance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A dance is a dance. So you dance with that person, or you keep dancing with that person, or what me and my girls used to do, whichever guys we went with, those were our dancing partners to keep the other guys away from us.
Oh, wow.
Ah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So based on the fact that, yes, you have done, you do. At what point have you found that display of affection has been disrespectful?
Oh, yeah, well, don't start rubbing down my back and going below. Keep your hands still.
Why? Okay, so you've allowed this person into your space. You've said that it's socially acceptable by yourself to display this affection. However, if that person takes it to another level, it's now not respectful by you. So
yeah,
please quantify that.
Because I feel like they've gone to a different level. They've made it more personal. It's just a dance. It's not. I'm not in a relationship with them. I'm not their partner.
Okay, so you said they've made it more personal. Having a dance with an individual is personal, as far as I'm concerned. It's not something that you do. You hold hands in a ring, 6 of you, and dance. This is personal. This is intimate to a point that your bodies are pressed against each other, and you are displaying deep affection.
No, but there's dancing close and there's 2-stepping. Go on. There's dancing close and there's 2-stepping.
Yeah, but if you're in the dance rubbing down someone, that's basically what you're saying.
Yeah, basically that's what Miss Law's saying.
You're saying that you've taken it to a personal level just because of the dance.
Well, you have,
but you haven't, because at the end of the dance, sometimes you just say thank you and you walk off.
But we're talking about the scenario where
the hands have been rubbing down.
Someone's taken it to another level, then it becomes personal. So at the end of the day, you've allowed that person into your space. Okay, you have a perception of P.D.A. that person has a perception of PDA.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee that perception is the same.
Right. And
so therefore,
at that point where the guy's hands move and cross the line of Miss B's perception of PDA, she will either stop him.
Yeah.
Will she?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, she would.
I think so. She will either stop him.
Excuse me, Miss Law.
Or she'll look at her friends, and her friends will give her the nod to say what he looks like, and she may allow it to carry on. Mm-hmm. We know. I know the signals that you lot give.
Okay, tell us a bit about those signals.
So, you know, when a guy, so you're dancing face in front, a guy comes up behind you and he starts whining on you, whether it's like, that's a good one, I'm going to put on you in a minute. And then the friend's in front, so she looks at her friend and like gives her the look of what's he like, and she will either go no or yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh, because it's quite a serious subject.
It is.
I would like to change it then to soca dancing then. Because that is on a different level.
Once again, yes. Yeah. See, when it comes to music, people display different levels of PDA.
Yeah.
And people don't feel insulted by that. People don't feel disrespected by that. But however, they would say they would not display that out in the public roads. So it's a bit hypocritical. Because when you think about kissing someone out on the street and having a wine with somebody in a soca rave, and like you said, in a blues dance, so to speak, where the lights is black, okay, so you don't have a clue who that person is. It's just the dance.
I suppose that's the safety net, because it's dark. So if that's why when you're walking down the high street and you're kissing up, everybody can see it.
Yeah.
Where blues dancing is no one knows what you're doing.
So it's about hiding then, because it is. Because come on, you've just said in daylight it's not so nice to see, but you're in a blues, you're in a soca rave, you're in a party environment. It's okay.
I suppose so, because one reason why I potentially wouldn't dance with anybody now is because everybody's got their phones out, kept filming.
Yeah.
So why is that an issue?
Because it's, as you say, it's a PDA. Why do I then want this person who's gone live on Facebook to video me dancing with somebody? So I'll just be like, I ain't dancing with no one. But
it's just a dance. That you both, Miss Brown and yourself, said it's just a dance.
Yeah, but that was back then.
I think now it's the phones different are out, because we didn't have
we didn't have that social media
stuff on
so
phones like that.
Maybe it is hiding. Maybe it is something that's done in secret. But
for me, based on what you're saying, I would say yes. It's more secretive, doing those things that you're doing behind closed doors in dark places, so on and so forth. So the spotlight isn't on you, but now technology has changed and we're in a time where people video and take pictures of everything. That private no longer becomes private.
Exactly, and that's why when the people are on the street kissing up, what's the first thing you say? Get a room, which is private.
Very interesting subject. It's nice to hear a male perspective.
Most definitely.
Of how we see things and how things are perceived from different angles, avenues, and so on and so forth.
But I think you'll definitely, back to your original point, you'll definitely see a multicultural couple holding hands than you would
most definitely
a black man and a black woman.
And like we said, that's a cultural thing. Do you think that would change?
I think generation-wise, the younger generations are more into this PDA thing, holding hands. Doesn't matter whether they're black, white, Asian, it doesn't matter what race they are. I think they're more into displaying their affections in public. And I just think that maybe us older generation are not so. We've got like Miss Mode, and we've all kind of said basically there's a level to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think this is deeper as well. I think this goes back to our parents.
Well,
when do we ever see that? I know you probably touched on it. We didn't really see them
do that. That's correct. So. I mean, the most that we would see them do is party within the household, and even that we found that funny growing up because it was like, oh my god, look at them having a good time. You never ever saw two people on a chair, kissing up or anything like that. It's just something we weren't even allowed in that room anyway.
Well, that's it,
our first experience of that would have probably been a school disco.
Oh yeah.
That
young.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that just
blah-de-blah's getting off with blah-de-blah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think as well, for the cultural differences, it's something that we haven't been exposed to like that. But like you said, going to a school disco as a child and seeing your peers of different origin expressing those things, then you think, oh, okay, it's new to you.
Yeah, because you don't see that.
You never experienced that, so it's foreign.
Mm-hmm.
We would have seen some of it on television.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Dallas. JR was the king of that.
Just be mindful, though. Remember, we were only allowed to watch TV up to a certain time, and there was a cut-off. Yeah. So we weren't exposed to quite a lot. Our actual parents caged us away from certain things for the betterment of ourselves. Yeah. So we didn't get that exposure because they chose not to give it to us.
Yeah.
Because they wanted us to conform and be as they were.
Yeah.
Which didn't do us any injustice.
No, it didn't. It didn't.
No, it wouldn't have it any other way.
Exactly.
What are your final thoughts, each one of you, like, going forward? Obviously, some of you would display affection. Some of you would not.
So you're definitely not going to see me kissing anyone on the street.
Okay.
And as far as dancing is concerned, I have to be very careful because of people and their phones. So that's what would probably have changed me from back in the day when I would just dance. So yeah, that's me.
And yourself, Miss Brown?
I mean, I think there's a level to P.D.A, so I don't mind holding hands, cuddling. Like I said, when it's cold, I do cuddle up. I'm not even going to lie, it's cold.
Only when it's cold?
Only when it's cold, I need body heat. So I would cuddle up, Abby.
No, I kind of agree with what Miss B's saying. Not the body heat part, but there's levels.
You could just see Miss B in the summer. No, it's too hot.
there's just levels. But each to their own. If that's what you want to do in public, that's for you and you feel comfortable, then by all means, cool. But for me, there's levels, yeah.
Public display of affection, P.D.A. Some of us don't mind engaging in it. Some of us are dead against it. I think everyone who does display affection publicly has to be mindful that people may not necessarily be so susceptible or so, engaging when you're doing or displaying certain behaviours. I think the key is that we are respectful of one another. When we're doing things, we think about what we're doing it and whether it's necessary to do it. There are some things that should be kept at home. There are some things that need to be thought about before they're displayed. If you're displaying them, display them for the right reasons. Not because you have insecurities or trust issues or any other thing that makes you feel unhappy or insecure. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for listening to today's show. Good night and God bless.
Honestly, what if we spoke honestly? What if we spoke honestly?